Okay, part two. So we made it to the first top where that stone wall is, which again is a feat in itself. So I'm assuming that maybe some kind of rancher or farmer at one point built that for, I'm not sure why. But anyway, so now we hit the switchback, and this is a very small footpath, but basically only one person at a time for the most part. I'm sure it was originally a deer trail. And this one is pretty steep. The first part of that hike was only 145 feet elevation change. This one, I don't know what elevation change will be, but this is much more severe. I'd say this is at least the same amount of time as we spent coming up the first part of the trail. And again, this one takes your breath away because it does incline a lot faster, and just harder. There's no other way around it. It's kind of boring in the sense that there's no waterfalls or anything like that, but there is probably a creek right down here that you can't really see it from up here, but I'm sure there's some water running down there because it is pretty narrow. So, but again, it's probably just not a lot. And I've always liked that hill right there. It's always full of ferns, the whole side of the mountain, and it's very, very steep. Again, you couldn't walk up that unless you're on your hands and knees. And again, right now I'm winded. Just coming up the first part of the hike on this switchback. But now we're getting above the trees, and we're out of that little valley where the creek runs through. So now we're going to start seeing a lot more sunshine and start seeing all the mountains around, just because we're so far up from the water. And again, it's an easy trail, but it is definitely such that it will make you winded unless you're a mountain goat. As a runner, I have pretty good wind and all that stuff, but this is they're like steep little sections that really take your breath away, as you can probably tell just by my deep breathing in this conversation. As you can see now, we're getting out, seeing the beautiful hills and forest. It is pretty nice up here. I mean, again, we're probably, half hour out of San Francisco, and right now you can't see a house, a telephone pole, anything. No power lines. And again, we're probably, a half hour outside of Marinwood neighborhood. And you would never know there's any civilization right around here. It could be like hiking in the Sierras at one point. Here's a very steep spot. That's what it reminds me of when I come up to places like this. Is I've backpacked up in the Sierras before, Yosemite, and there were places where there literally isn't anybody for miles. It's all dirt roads. Well, this is a very small version of something like that. Oh, speaking of water pipe, there's some more of this pipe. Where it comes from and where it goes, I don't know. But somebody put it there. Definitely not nature, that's for sure. And again, this trail. It's a sunny day today. It's the first nice warm sunny day. We got little wildflowers coming out, or I don't know if they're spring flowers or what, but like this one right here. I don't even know what you call them. They look like little cactus, but they're red. And again, it gets steep right here. This is only end of January basically, and we've had, I don't know, I'd say last month or so, pretty much mostly rain. And even when it didn't rain for a day or two, it was overcast and cloudy. And so today is it's blue skies. There's some clouds out there, but like right now, you can see all the way across the bay. And it's basically short weather. You can wear shorts, and which unfortunately I did not pack. I got big old Levi's on, which is not ideal for me. I got a long sleeve shirt. And anyway, right now it's getting pretty warm, and it just looks like a really nice spring day. As I continue, again, it's a very small path. I'm sure, being a city boy, I didn't know it, but a deer path, which I didn't know what those were, but I'm sure animals made this originally. Whew. Keeps my blood pumping, that's for sure. I guess you could probably hear my, oh yeah, here comes the hard part. One little switchback after another, and they're pretty severely elevated. But again, it's worth it. It's good exercise. Get some fresh air in your lungs. Make us realize we got to get off the couch and push a little bit once in a while. I think that a lot of us tend to say, I'll do it tomorrow. And this is one of those things where the benefits outweigh the discomfort of the steep hike and the wind, shortness of breath. And look at this. And again, we're about a half hour or more out of the neighborhood of Marinwood, and like I say, I feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, and looks like the middle of nowhere. Like I say, you can't see any power lines, you can't see any homes. What the hell is that? It's either a little snake or a salamander. You can't hear any noise. You don't hear any highway noise. You don't hear any lawnmowers. Nothing. The only thing I really hear is the shortness of my breath. Whew! I tell you, here we go. More of the scenic vista that is there. And just when you feel like you kind of peaked out, it flattens out for a minute. It gets steeper again. Good time to kind of catch the breath a little bit. And from what I understand, if you know this area well, you can hike from San Rafael to Novato on these back roads and never have to get out of these mountains. You don't have to get out on the street at all. But I think there's probably just fire roads that connect all of this, but that Park Service or whoever they are that they do the work up here. They have trucks for it, and they're all 4-wheel drive. But I think you can either take those fire trails, or maybe there's also hiking trails that match up with them. And then here, looks like somebody built this section, which is obvious with the stones. And this is a much wider path than all the one leading up to it, which were just a little, like I say, a deer trail. This is pretty narrow too, but again, you can see all the rocks that were put here on purpose. This is where it gets steep again. You can hear it in my breath. And we'll come to the top in not too long of a time. And then it's really wide open. You're on top of the mountain and you can see for miles. And then we have to go down the mountain on the other side, which is a giant fire trail. It's not near as, I don't know, picturesque as this. Because coming down to the side, you can start seeing the homes and civilization, all that stuff. But right now, I mean, the only thing you expect to see up here right now is wild animals, deer, and any other critter that lives up here. But the deer don't hang out here because they hang out close to the neighborhoods where they have plenty to eat. Whew. And I'm sure there's plenty of wild animals up here. Okay, I feel like we're almost to the top, but what I remember about this trail is that it's deceiving just when you feel like you're about to the top. It gives you another switchback. So I know I'm definitely close. I've been this trail, I don't know, probably 5-10 times, give or take. But and then coming down the backside, it's that big fire trail. It can be a little tricky too, because some parts are kind of steep and it's loose rock and gravel, which can lead to slipping and things like that. And if your knees aren't in great shape, it could be a little hard on the knees and the hips. But at this point, so far all my knees and hips and everything are firing well and healthy, so I don't have a problem with that. And again, this is one of those sections where you feel like you're almost at the top. It's nice and flat, and you get a chance to catch your breath, kind of relax a second, then picks back up again. Here we go, we're getting towards the top. You can see much more space. The canopy is getting thinner. And as we look over there, we can see the tops of that mountain over there. And it looks like there's maybe some kind of towers up there. I'm assuming, I can't remember. I don't know the area that well, but I know they have antennas and such like that up here. But you can see the water now, so I think that's McGinnis Park area that I can't think of the name of the street that takes you to. There's a freeway, so now we can start seeing civilization again. And so that's the golf course is over there somewhere. Redwoods down below, and again you can see the freeway. And we're back, and we got some people hanging out up here. Oops, Almost took the wrong turn. Howdy. And they got a little bench and rock up there that I guess people like that are hanging out on and just enjoying the sight. They're not so concerned about the hike. Oops. And that's it. And now we're back on the trail uphill again. And again, there's so many twists and turns in this. And again, you always feel like, okay, I finally got there. And then it's just one more steep switchback again and again. And it's a lot tougher than the first part of the hike, that's for sure. As you can tell by the shortness of my breath. And I'm walking pretty slow. This is no marathon, no run, that's for sure. But I've never done it, but I should try to run it one day. I don't have that many days left in my days for running, especially this kind of run, but I think I could still do it. I might have to, well, I don't know, I might have to stop a few or just go real slow, make a run hike, because this, I can barely make it walking. Well, let's not say barely, but it's definitely a serious trail. And again, that's a McGinnis golf course over there. And oh, that's Smith Ranch Road, takes you out to the golf course. There's also a driving range out there. There's a Pee Wee Golf. There's also across the creek is a big brand new complex, and they have a small climbing gym. They have a, what do you call that game with it's like dentist, but it's not a dentist. It's not I don't know what they call it. It's that new game that everyone plays. It'll come. Pickleball. They have some indoor pickleball courts in there. And there's also an airport over there. And I'm not sure what size planes they are, but there's always planes coming and going there. It's definitely pretty small. I don't know anything about airports, so I don't know how much size you need runway for each size of planes, but again, that was what we were looking at a minute ago. And again, kind of in the canopy here. It's a little shaded, and again, this is my favorite part of the trail, to tell you the truth. I mean, the creek part is nice, and I like the water, but I've been a runner all my life. I just like that pull on the lungs that running gives you, and a hike like this is giving me right now. I never worded it like that before, but that's kind of how it feels. It feels like my lungs are getting pulled on, and I just like the feeling. I guess I always have. But usually after a certain amount of time running, your lungs, your oxygen, your heart, I'm not sure what it all works together, but it's almost like you don't feel it anymore. You just you get into a zone. I would equate it to what all the hippie yoga people call meditating. I just focus on my one step in front of the next, and I don't even think about the lungs or the lack of oxygen. That would be the closest I ever came to any of that meditative stuff. But I have been doing it for, I'd say at least 50 years. I was doing it off and on as a young guy, and I just got more and more into it as time went on, and I've never stopped. Anyway, back to this trail. Again, it's nice and flat right now, and it feels like it's just about to end. But if I'm not mistaken, there's another switchback coming up that gets pretty steep again. Yeah, this isn't the glamorous trail that Cataract Falls is. Not that Cataract Falls is glamorous, but it is a little more dynamic. The energy, the forest. I think the forest is there's plenty of trees in there that are over 100 years old, and these might be too. I don't know, but this is a little bit more spread out. Cataract Falls is pretty dense forest all the way. And again, the falls are so intense. It's just a whole different, it's like apples and oranges. I like them both. Sometimes you're just in the mood for one or the other. So I've kind of been in the mood for this one today just because Cataract Falls I think it's 1.5 miles. It's quick, and it's intense for a bit, but it's not any kind of long hike, whereas this one is, I don't know, I'll find out how far it is when I finish, to get to the top anyway, and then coming down the backside, it's a good amount of time too. It's probably a half hour, give or take, but I'm just curious how far it is to get to the top of this, because this is the lung burner or the lung puller or whatever it is that definitely fill your lungs and starting to open up. We're just about there. I think this little runway is the last of it, and then we come out to the wide open expanse. We'll be looking on the other side of the mountain, pretty much down at Marinwood and south of the area. I think we'll be able to see freeway. I'm not sure exactly, but it's definitely kind of like almost like a nirvana. You get to the top and the sun is out, your lungs relax, and you feel like I should say I feel like I accomplished something. Here we come, and they have a bench there, which I think is new. As you can see, whew, very bright. Okay, that's the vista. And so now you can see all the houses, Marinwood, the towers, different trails. Howdy. And again, this is what you get to see from up here. And again, homes, houses, all the different hills, and more of the same. See down there, civilization. I think that's all part of Marinwood. And way on the distance, I don't know if you can see it, but it's San Francisco. And I hate to equate it to this, but it's almost like, looks like the land of Oz or something, because you see all this beautiful country, and then all of a sudden you see this city with all these tall buildings, and in the distance with the light marine layer over it, it kind of looks a little foggy, and you can see a glimpse of pretty sure that's the Bay Bridge, and pan around. And again, this bench, it's got to be new. You can see the cement has been poured not too long ago. And again, there's another trail here. And I think if you take these trails up and keep going, it will just eventually go along all the way into Novato. And how far and all that stuff, I'm not sure. I'm not that savvy about it. But you can see that there's a trail right there. It goes around. And I know on the other side of this, or if we just keep going up to the top of this, there's another tower up there. And there used to be a radio station up there. There's a ruins of a what do you call it, a cement slab, and there's ruins of signs that they had antennas and such. So it might have been, you know, set up during the war, or I don't know, some radio station for the government or the Parks Department, I'm not sure. But it's all, you know, down to the slab now. But that's a little interesting. And then if you take, there's a trail that just keeps going, and again, that's part of the fire road, and that's what this road is right here. And this road, the Park Service, or whoever they're called, they come up on in their four-wheel drives, and they drive all around these mountains, and I don't know, fix things that needed, or check fire lines. I'm not sure what they do, but anyway, the next trip will be going downhill, and I'll start that in a little bit. All right, later.